Coming this fall from SJS Direct in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. You can pre-order your copy of The Man Crisis today on Amazon.com. In this era of Me Too, we are under the standard of trust and believe. And with men being under the standard of trust and believe, men need to develop a strategy in order to survive in this era of what I call gynocentric Jim Crow. Because in this era of gynocentric Jim Crow, where the standard of trust and believe is now the legal standard for the land, we now have an era where all it takes is for one woman to make an allegation against a man of a sexual assault, a rape, or sexual harassment, and that entire man's life can be completely derailed by these allegations, and this man can possibly lose his job, lose his career, lose his reputation, and possibly wind up being arrested, tried, and convicted in this era of Me Too. And this is why men need to develop survival skills in order to navigate this era of Me Too. And the first thing a man needs to do in this era of Me Too is take the metaphorical red pill. Now, the red pill is a reference to the 1999 movie The Matrix, and the red pill is the pill that enables a man to see the real world as it's going on right now and see the reality going on in the world. Now, the red pill enables a man to see the reality of female nature and see the reality regarding the predatory females who are a part of this Me Too movement. And those who can see clearly the reality regarding these predatory females understands that when it comes down to these females, in most cases, they are making these allegations not because they want to stop sexual harassment and sexual assaults in places like the workplace, but they are making these allegations in the hopes of getting resources for themselves at the expense of a man's reputation, the expense of a man's health, and the expense of a man's intangibles like his freedom. And as a man, you have to undervalue your intangibles of manhood more than the attention and approval of these females, because you can't do anything without your freedom and you can't do anything without your safety. So once you take the red pill, you will see the truth regarding these female predators, and you will start applying strategies to deal with these female predators constructively. And one of the things you can do to deal with these female predators constructively is adopt a MGTOW philosophy to your lifestyle. Now, MGTOW stands for Men Going Their Own Way, and part of the MGTOW philosophy is putting yourself first, because the only person who will be able to meet your needs as a man is you. The only person who will be able to take care of you is you. So you have to look out for your health, your safety, and your freedom in this era of Me Too, and you have to value them more than anything in this world, because without your freedom, health, and safety, you just won't be able to do anything for yourself. Now, as part of this MGTOW philosophy, you have to start minimizing your interactions with these females. And the reason why you're minimizing your interactions with these females is to protect yourself and prevent yourself from being in situations where you can be targeted by these females for their allegations. And when you're in the workplace, you need to minimize your social interactions with these females, even to the point of not even saying good morning to these females. Now, many people will consider that bad manners, but some of these females will even take something as simple as an innocuous good morning and use this as a way to run down to human resources saying that you sexually harassed them or you said something inappropriate to them in an inappropriate tone. And the way you avoid dealing with this type of human resource nightmare that can lead to you wind up either being written up, suspended where you lose 2 weeks of pay, or even terminated by this female and her allegations is to not even talk to these females in social situations. Don't say good morning, just go to your cubicle or your workspace and start your work. And if you have to talk to these females, talk to them in public areas and make sure that there are witnesses to your communications. Moreover, if you have to deal with a female and you have to supervise females or work with females, always make sure that there are always another female employee standing with you so that there is somebody there to witness your conversation and your interaction. And always do this in a public area. Never do this in a private area, because if you enter a private area with one of these females, what that creates is a he said, she said situation. And in he said, she said situations, oftentimes a company will side with the woman out of fear of being sued, and that is something that can wind up destroying your reputation and your career. And if you have to, and you can are allowed to, always have your cell phone recording the conversation between yourself and this woman. And if you have a camera on that phone, video record that conversation between yourself and the woman in the workplace, because again, this is another layer of evidence to protect yourself. And a third layer you can use is a log to describe your time you came into work, the time you left for lunch, the conversations you had with any female workers, and this again all meant to protect you. And if you can possibly do it, make sure you have a camera recording inside of your office space. Again, another layer to protect yourself. Because when it comes down to these women and these Me Too allegations, the best way to defend yourself from them is with hard evidence, because women cannot fight against a paper trail. Allegations don't really stand up against a hard evidence trail of recordings, documentation, and people, eyewitnesses, making clear observations of what's going on. And as part of that survival guide, you have to not only do this in the workplace, but you have to do this in your social interactions with these females as well. Again, minimize your interactions with these females in public spaces and keep your distance away from these females. That's how you protect yourself from females making allegations, because if you are not there, then they can't make accusations against you. And if you are in places like buses or trains that are crowded, again, give yourself ample space between yourself and these females so that they cannot make allegations saying that you groped them, you touched them, and in some cases, if you have to, sometimes either wait for the next train or move to another car or move to another part of a bus, because again, your freedom is too important to lose to one of these predatory females and their Me Too allegations. Because if you are hashtag not there, they cannot say you did anything. And if you have irrefutable proof that you are hashtag not there, then they can't say Me Too about you. So you want to be able to lay a course for your survival in this age of Me Too. And again, it's all about you protecting yourself by doing things in the workplace, on the street, and social interactions. Now, part of that social interaction at work are things like social functions like Christmas parties and other events. And again, you just don't go there because, again, you don't want to put yourself in a place where these females can make their allegations. Because, again, if you are not there, they can't make these allegations. And you never really want to be anywhere with these women in private spaces because, again, it creates the he said, she said situation that you cannot really win in an age of trust and believe. Because in an age of trust and believe, the woman is going to be believed by law enforcement, the woman is going to be believed by the courts, and you're not going to be able to do much because with due process under the law being undermined by the standard of trust and believe, the only thing men can do at the time right now is, again, minimize their interactions with women, put distance between themselves and women, and make every effort to stay as far away from women because, again, if you are not there, they can't make an allegation, and if you have evidence to show you were somewhere else, their allegations are proven to be lies. Because in this age of this Me Too movement, men have to go out here and make efforts to protect themselves because you are the only one who can take care of yourself. You are the only one who can take care of your needs. You are the only one who can meet your own needs. And you have to look out for you. When it comes down to these females, they're looking to get a payday at the expense of your reputation, the expense of your health, the expense of your safety, and the expense of your freedom. And those intangibles should be extremely valuable to you because without those intangibles, you can't work. And what these females want to do is be able to live a lifestyle at your expense. And you can't allow them to do that because they want to use the position of the victim as a way to enrich themselves. And that's not something you should allow to do because if these predatory females can't be responsible for themselves, then they deserve to live the lifestyle that they have where they're in poverty and they don't need to come up at your expense. So you have to lay a course for yourself where you look out for yourself in this age of Me Too, and you have to make efforts to be able to make sure that you are all right and not, these women aren't taking advantage of you. Now, a lot of people will believe that these are extreme things to do, but in this age of Me Too, men have to adapt in order to survive. And that's something that these women in the Me Too movement just don't understand about men. They think that men are like these simps out here and they'll just keep giving them freebies, not understanding that a majority of men out here are looking at the situation and they are adapting to the situation. And as they adapt, they are doing things like minimizing their interactions with women and also making efforts to do things like not even hiring women to work in their workplaces because they now see women as a liability and they don't want to get sued by one of these predatory females. So they're cutting their interactions down at the job and they're not even considering hiring women for certain jobs. And they're also, you have men not even considering dating anymore because it's just too dangerous these days. And that's cutting down on females' prospects for dating, relationships, and marriage, as many of the men who would have gone to the bars, nightclubs, and restaurants are deciding to stay home, watch Netflix, or go play video games because they would rather be free to pursue their lives than be in a relationship that could cost them everything and possibly lead to them winding up in prison. So when it comes down to this Me Too movement, the Me Too movement has changed relationships between men and women, but it's not changed relationships between men and women for the better. These feminists, these women, these SJWs, and predatory females, what they have done is drive a further wedge between men and women. And I don't think that there is going to be a bridge built until people deal with these predators who are a part of the Me Too movement, who are trying to impose gynocentric Jim Crow on men, trying to make men second class citizens in their own country, and de incentivizing men from participating in social interactions where they would have relationships with women. Because how can a man have a relationship with a woman when it literally puts his health, safety, and freedom at risk? And that's what has many men avoiding women these days with this Me Too movement. This Me Too movement is alienating men and making it where men don't want anything to do with women, but because these women are celebrating a short-term victory over men like Bill Cosby's sentencing, they can't see the long-term damage they're doing to relationships here in America. When it comes down to men, again, men are survivors, men are adapters, and because they adapt to a situation, what happens is they're finding ways to make livings without having to deal with women, and women in the long term can't see the big picture as related to this Me Too movement, because as survivors, men can find a way to live without women, but women can't find a way to live without men, because women primarily get their resources from men. And with this Me Too movement, what's happening is women are soon to find out that they're not going to have access to resources because they have alienated men and made it where they have no incentive to provide for them. And with that, we're going to see, I believe, the eventual end of the Me Too movement sooner rather than later. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct Men's Issues titles, like the Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, They Look Like Men But They Act Like Ladies, The Misadventures of Captain Save-A-Ho, and Stop Simping in the Workplace, and the upcoming Man Crisis book, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.